Mate,
It's my brother there at the end.
what's Ben? You got it as well.
You've been growing your beard in since I've been going mine, innit? You need your size shrunk a little bit, to be honest. Fuck off.
How you doing, alright, mate?
Not bad.
Nice. It's a top job in there.
Yeah.
Yes. He's going to get cropped and we're going to look at a little bit.
Just about to start talking. Forgot we got to do that.
Right, shut that.
Fuck off, son.
Ya. Ya, sip. Bro kan terjemahin.
Yeah, mate, very good, yeah. Well, Saturday, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Ya.
Yeah. You know what you're going to get. You're going to come at you all night. Yeah, but that's when you get your best at it. When you boxed in Millennium Stadium, it's like, but you've been like that with your career. When you've had to perform, you perform. And when there's nothing really, like, you know. Yeah, you look great. Joe said he thinks you're better than Eddie as well. No, of course. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I have nothing to gain, though.
Yeah.
Can you still milk in this way?
Oh, it's something else, the Rocky belt. Something else. Mate, when he's going in Jeddah, flying back, you had that, you had the diamond, such a lovely belt. Yeah, trophy. WBA had the trophy. Oh, mate.
I saw the full you through the one thing
Yeah,
and he got off the quick.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to Stoller Hall here in Manchester, England for the official undercard press conference for Saturday night's huge night of boxing action, He Who Dares. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Matchroom Boxing. It'll be broadcast live on Sky Sports box office here in the UK and in the United States exclusively on DAZN. So, like I mentioned, we're here in the heart of the city of Manchester, and that's really what Saturday's card is all about. It's called He Who Dares, and it's the first unification bout to take place on British soil in the modern 3 or 4 belt era. OLEKSANDR USYK, Tony Bellew at the top of the card. But the undercard is stacked. A lot of great guys sitting up here on the dais. Of course, pretty boy Josh Kelly. You got the Rickster, Ricky Burns, and Scotty Cardle in a great domestic dust-up. You've got Hyde and Reactpour, 2 undefeated fighters, cruiserweights going at it, a great Nixon-Nil fight for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Championship. And of course, the White Rhino, the very popular heavyweight fighter, is up here also. But the chief support, of course, the Mancunian Anthony $1 Million Crawler. He's at the top of the chief support of this card, and he's fighting for that WBA final eliminator against Dowd Yordan. And Anthony won his world title right across the street when he fought Darlis Perez at the Manchester Arena. So we're here, and now to tell you all about it in detail, I'm going to turn it over to the managing director, the president of Matchroom Boxing, Mr. Eddie Hearn.
Thanks, Dave. Could you do that thing where you say my name twice?
Hearn.
Thank you. I like that. I've always wanted you to do that for me, Dave. Thank you. Thanks for joining us again. Second press conference of the 3. And like David said, a stacked card, a special night of boxing. The first ever undisputed fight in British boxing history in Usyk against Bellew. But so many important fights on this card, this undercard, and so many fighters coming through to look to challenge for world titles, to win their first belts, to keep their careers alive, to keep their crazy careers alive in the case of Pappy Pay-Per-View down the end there as well. Before we speak to the fighters, I'm going to pass over to our host broadcasters, Sky Sports, head of boxing, Adam Smith, to say a few words.
Thanks, Eddie. We're delighted to be back in Manchester. What a time for sport. The football last night, the derby on Sunday. And there's nothing like the arena here. I think we've had so many great nights over the years. Ricky Hatton, of course, owned the place. It was wonderful to see him go from strength to strength, and fantastic fights, great happenings that occur inside there. And Anthony Croller, of course, has taken the mantle on in recent years. He's had a great supporting cast as well. There's a real special feel about that Manchester Arena, and we're delighted to be back. 6 o'clock on Sky Sports Box Office on Saturday night, and what a card. It's a feast. It's the young prospects. It's the excellent, intriguing matches. Can't wait to see Ricky Burns and Scotty Cardle, which has been put together at short notice, and both fighters deserve a lot of credit for that. But there's some really good stuff, of course, David Allen and his heavyweights and his great cult character that he's provided British boxing over the last couple of years. But he can fight as well, I'll tell you that much. And, you know, Josh Kelly, the Young Boxer of the Year, we had a great ceremony down in London recently to crown him that. He's a dad as well of a few days. We're talking about whether he's getting any sleep. I hope he is before Saturday night. But it really is good. And to see Anthony and Dowdy all down in a terrific chief support as well, I think that's a really good fight. I think that's going to be a nip and tuck and toe-to-toe all the way. So a beautiful supporting card to a fabulous main event that we'll be talking about a lot later on.
Thanks, Adam. Dave, we'll start with you down the end. Probably the most active fighter in Britain right now, and certainly one of the most talked about. But more importantly, someone who's learning and improving, and another important step for you on Saturday night.
Hello. Yep. Yeah. Fantastic. Out again. Very, very active. Very busy. Yeah. I'm just really happy just to be involved in all these fantastic shows. I'm just really happy to be out and about. That's about it really from me today. My opponent's not here, I've not really got much else to say.
I've seen you across many social media sites, Iron Brew, I think, all the way through to Babe Station as well. There's an air though that, you know, it's becoming a little bit more serious for you now. Obviously we know that's good fun, and you have the ability to mix that up with a seriousness as well. But how serious are you taking this now, and how far away do you think you are now from being ready for those big fights again, but this time to make them count rather than coming in as an opponent?
Yeah, I think when I boxed the Whites and the Ortiz, I only had 10 amateur fights, so I literally boxed Dylan White and Ortiz after 20 fights, amateur and pro. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Looking back now, I was mad really. I was well out of my depth. I boxed Tony Oaken, only had 25 fights again. I was out of my depth again. But I think now I've been boxing Nick Webb and Nebo, British level, maybe pushing it a little bit with Nebo, but around a good level. You know, I dispatched them in good fashion, do the same Saturday night. And then, you know, I'd like to fight again at the end of the year. And then next year, I want to win all the domestic titles. And I think I can, you know. I don't think there's anyone at domestic level that I can't beat. And I genuinely do think that I do like to have a laugh, and I do like to mess about. When I get in the ring, I always try, you know. And I think now I'm finally good enough to go with that effort level to win all these domestic titles. And who knows, you know, once you win them, you never know what can happen from there with a bit of luck.
I think the Nick Webb win, you know, in terms of your popularity as well, taking it to another level. Yeah. Newcastle, 8,000 people singing There's Only One Dave Allen was something special. This time, around 18,000, 19,000 people in Manchester Arena. It's going to be special again.
Well, when I box, there'll be about 3,000 in, but, you know,
I didn't want to say that.
hopefully get another good reception. Obviously, Sam Hyde's fans will be there. They'll remember me from the amateurs when I boxed Sam 7 years ago. Yesterday it was.
Who won?
Well, Sam didn't want me to mention me stopping him, so I won't mention that I stopped him. But,
you're a bit heavy for him, Dave, you know.
But yeah, you know, Manchester's. I love Manchester Arena. I boxed there before. I boxed Ortiz, so hopefully we'll have a different result. Hopefully, a totally different night. I hope.
Okay, Dave, thank you. A fight that was put together quite recently as well, and I think is a great example of where British boxing's at right now, is Richard Riakporhe against Sam Hyde. WBA International Cruiserweight Championship on the card, 2 undefeated cruiserweights, 2 fighters that probably 2 or 3 years ago would never ever take this fight at this stage in their career. But both guys ready, believe they can win, ready to gamble on Saturday night, and looking at a brilliant domestic cruiserweight division. Of course, top of the tree with the likes of BELLEW, but more realistically for these guys, looking at the likes of Lawrence Okoli for the British title, Craig Glover with a good win recently as well, Isaac Chamberlain back on the scene as well. There's some really top cruiserweights domestically looking to come through right now. Richard, firstly with you, you're all over this fight, a big opportunity for you, and really thrown into the deep end on Saturday, but you feel, and Dylan and your team feel you're ready for this.
Yeah, I was thrown knee deep, but, you know, I just feel like I'm able to mix it with at this level now. It's just, with me, it was just a lack of experience, but, you know, it's like learning on the job. So, and I don't mind. I love taking risks, and I think if you want to be a great fighter in this sport, you have to. So, I remember coming up to Manchester. This was back 8 years ago. I came to watch the Audley Harrison versus David Hay.
Oh, we'll end that there.
So, I remember watching George Grove versus Kenny Anderson, you know, and I was just filled with admiration and respect for these fighters. Thinking, one day, maybe I could do the same thing. And next thing you know, 8 years later, you know, I got a title fight here. It's absolutely insane, you know. And I'm just gonna come and give it everything I got. I believe I can win. And like Tony Bellew says, believe you and me, lad. Trust me, I'm going to give it everything. I'm bringing that title back to London. Simple.
Richard, tell us a little bit about your story. I know that, you know, obviously many have seen you in the ring, but growing up in London as well, you're a great advocate as well of how boxing can change lives.
Yeah, so I grew up in South East London. I got myself in a lot of trouble growing up. Been to jail, been stabbed. And, you know, I reached a crossroad where I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to continue with this lifestyle, always paranoid, looking over my back, trying to survive, having to arm myself just to make sure that I don't get myself killed. And then I just found a boxing gym, the Lynn ABC, started training with Sam Mullen and everybody down there. And I just stuck at it, and I realized, you know, how much power I got in the boxing, in the sport. So I was getting a lot of TKOs, KO victories, and I wasn't taking it seriously at all. So I pursued it. It kept me off the streets, because what I noticed is that it was due to boredom. That's how I got myself in a lot of trouble. But the boxing stopped me from hanging around with bad influences, and I just stayed grounded. Next thing you know, I was doing better at boxing. I decided to go university. I graduated a degree at Kingston University, and ever since I never looked back. And it was the boxing that kept me grounded. If it wasn't for the boxing, I would have definitely been caught up in a whole load of different madnesses, and I'd probably been in jail for life. I got a few of my close friends that used to hang around every day. They're doing jail. They're doing life in jail now, and a few of them. So, you know, being there is a blessing. Trust me, things could have gone a different way.
Thank you. And if there's any politicians watching, or local councillors, if you can't see time and time again what boxing does for young kids in the community, it is integral, and I think it can change a lot of paths and lives. Sam, again, you've been waiting for a few fights that have fallen through recently, and this chance came up, and you and Joe Gallagher took it with both hands in your backyard on a huge bill, chance to win your first title. Massive night for you. Yeah,
over the last few weeks I've had few pull-outs I've come from the small hall shows, obviously. Now on the big card, you have different financial problems with opponents, and it's just not happened for me. And now I believe all the stars have aligned to make this happen. What a bill on 2 cruiserweight championships, undercard. So massive thanks to you, Eddie, for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to grab it with both hands.
Cruiserweight division is red hot at the moment. You and Richard, both very talented, undefeated, good punchers as well. Should shape up for a great fight.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I've watched a bit of Richard. I don't believe he's fought anyone anywhere near as good as I am. And likewise, as a pro, I might not have boxed anyone as good as him, but all I know is I'm fit, ready for 10 hard rounds. So as long as he is, it's going to be a great night to start the Sky Show off.
Will be a great fight. Hyde against Ria Kapori, kicking it off on Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN across America. A young man who, Adam Swift rightly said, just crowned Young Boxer of the Year. I see that award really as sort of young prospects emerging through. I see this guy as already a world talent, and I can't wait to see him back in the ring on Saturday night against Walter Castillo. He's been out for a while his partner's been giving birth, become a father a couple of days ago. Already looking great and fresh. Pretty boy Josh Kelly. Josh, great to be back in the ring and as part of a huge show as well on Sky Sports Box Office.
It's a massive showcase. Obviously, the two best cruiserweights in the world going at it, and to be on the undercard and to get busy again is good, to say the least. Obviously, I had the little boy, so it's been a crazy week, but I've got my head on the game, and we've been training for long and hard for this. So we're just going to push through this fight and do the business.
As we said, had a couple of months out for that experience, and now looking to get a good win on Saturday and hopefully get out in December as well in a big fight.
I mean, obviously Saturday comes first. I never overlook any opponents. I'm always focused. I know what can happen when you do overlook opponents. So I'm going in there Saturday. Like I train hard every time I go into camp. So I'm ready for I was ready for a title fight. So now I'm just going to push through for this fight, and then hopefully everything goes well, and then perform again in December.
See your Olympic Rio teammates. I know you're all your own people, but all those guys now emerging into headline acts, you know, over the next few months, and also 2019, the likes of obviously Joshua Boatsi going well. Lawrence Okole's picked up British and Commonwealth titles as well. See a real changing of the guard in British boxing with these young guns coming through, looking to headline shows in 2019.
It seems like everyone's in competition with everyone at the moment, not just in your weight division, but just to outshine each other. So it's a healthy competition, and obviously competition breeds champions, and I'm ready to step up whenever and wherever, and get the job done. I'm here to become the best. I'm not messed about, so I can't wait.
Thanks, Josh. A fight that really did come out of nowhere was Scotty Cardle against Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns was due to box in America. We changed the location from Las Vegas to Kansas. All of a sudden, he preferred Manchester. And Scotty Cardle, who was, of course, down to fight Joe Cordina for the Commonwealth lightweight title as well. Paul Reddy, who works with us, just said, why don't we do Cardle Burns? I said, well, I'm not sure both those guys will be up for that at short notice. 2 phone calls later, deal was done. And these guys are up for the battle on Saturday night. Scotty, at the stage in your career now where you've got to take these opportunities, it's a no-win, no-lose situation for you, rather. And, you know, ultimately a great fight, one that's been talked about, I guess, before, but set to be a great fight between you and Ricky on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's been talked about before, obviously, with my Scottish background and that. And to be fair, getting in the ring with Ricky, it's an achievement in itself, but I won't be looking past anything. I'm obviously going into this game just over 6 years ago, turning pro. My 5-year plan was to be world level, and in all seriousness, I've underachieved. So going into a fight like this, it can fast track me to some big fights out there, and it can open some good doors for me. So I won't be taking it lightly. Obviously, I've been training for Cordina for the last 12 to 13 weeks, and it's been intense, the training. But I'm very grateful that Ricky stepped in, and I still get to fight. And the fight's on, and I know what I've got ahead of me. And I'm in great shape, and I'm ready for Saturday night.
Like you say, you know, a victory against Joe Cordina could sort of propel you onto Commonwealth and British level, but a victory here on Saturday night could completely change the route of your career and put you straight in the line for some major fights.
I believe so, definitely. Obviously, Cordina he's an 8-fight professional, and obviously with a loss on his record, it won't really affect too much. But a loss on either our record on Saturday night is going to cost a lot. So I think we both know what's on the line. There's no needle in this fight, and like I said, I'm very grateful for him stepping in, but obviously when fight night comes, the respect will be left aside, and that'll come through after the last bell. But yeah, it's there's some there's big moments to come after this fight, I believe, and I've just got to make sure I'm on my game on the night.
Ricky, you know you'll fight anywhere at any time. You're just dying to get in there. You had a great fight with Anthony Crolla at the same arena not so long ago. Important fight for you on Saturday. You can't slip up in this fight. We know you've got plans, obviously, still major fights in your career, and not taking Scotty lightly ahead of Saturday.
I know, Joe, we get the phone call last week asking would we box on Saturday night. Me and Tony, we spoke about it. We jumped at a chance to win such a huge bill. But, you know, we train for every fight the same. Obviously, we were down to Fort Box next week, so we were in full camp anyway. Training in that was going perfect. Obviously, it was meant to fight Joe Cordina, but I was there when Joe done his hand in the gym. Obviously, he's had to rest it for a few weeks now, so unable to fight. I'm more than happy to, as you know, I'll fight MD at all. It doesn't really bother me. You just have to phone and tell me. So we're looking forward to Saturday and getting in there and getting the job done.
I think it's fair to say a lot more to gain for Scotty in this fight than there is for you. Do you feel that pressure that you're expected to win on Saturday night, and really all the pressure in this fight is on you?
Not at all. I've been looking, obviously when you're on social media and you can see people are saying that, but maybe me, I treat every fight the same. We train for every fight the same, so this isn't any different. We just need to go out there, same as always, first couple of rounds, suss it out, and we'll take it from there, but we're confident to get out and getting the job done.
Obviously, you've been part of some huge shows as well. I mean, Crolla against Jordan is a great fight, and also as a boxing fan yourself, Usyk BELLEW, just a wonderful fight.
No, Joe, the main event, that is the one for me. When it was first mentioned fighting in this show, not only do you get to box on it, but you get to sit back and watch your main event as well. Just fingers crossed that Tony can go out here and pull it off.
Cheers, Ricky. We look forward to that. Burns v Cardle on Saturday night. A chief support that could certainly headline its own card at Manchester Arena, and we've seen Anthony Crolla do that time and time again. I just watched a promo release from Matchroom that will be run across our digital space and also Sky later on, and it just brings almost tears to the eyes to remember the nights at Manchester Arena that Anthony Crolla has achieved. And when you look at the likes of Tony Bellew and Anthony Crolla, I see a lot of similarities, guys who perhaps weren't expected to get to that place, but through hard work and dedication and smart work and good teamwork with their teams, have got there. You know, I remember getting the call in Las Vegas years ago when I was at the Amir Khan fight, and Joe phoned me up and said that Anthony Crolla had been in injury, had fractured his skull, he'd broken his ankle, and not just we felt like we'd lost the Richard Abril fight, but we felt like we'd lost Anthony's career. And when he got robbed of a decision against Darlis Perez in the first fight in Manchester, I just felt that there's no God. And when we managed to get the rematch and he stopped him, it was, and you know, watch this promo, it was just one of the most special nights I've ever felt, I've ever seen. And I think the boxing community feel the same as well. Fast forward to a great victory against Ismael Barroso after he just knocked out Kevin Mitchell. Many people expected Crolla to lose that night. He knocks out Barroso, moves on to challenge unification fight with Jorge Linares, and the Ring Magazine belts on the line. Very close fight in the first fight. Second fight, Linares was excellent. And now he's back with a chance to have another shot at a world title in a brilliant fight against Daud Yordan. And you know, I've watched Daud Yordan recently, one of the toughest competitors in the 135-pound division. Both these guys do exactly what it says on the tin. They're both going to come forward, meet each other head on. This is going to be an absolute war at Manchester Arena on Saturday night, and so much on the line. You know, the victory will lead you to the mandatory shot against the brilliant Vasily Lomachenko, and that's a tough fight in itself, but a special occasion. And Anthony Crolla will be doing everything he can to be victorious on Saturday night. And firstly, Daud, welcome. How are you feeling ahead of this fight?
Good. First, I wanna let me use my Indonesian language, and I have translate behind me. Yeah. Yang pertama, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Matchroom Boxing atas kesempatan ini, juga kepada tim saya, Mahkota Promotion, Raja Sabta Oktohari, Simon, Eric, pelatih saya Pino Bahari, dan semua tim yang mempersiapkan saya untuk pertarungan ini.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to Matchroom Boxing for this great opportunity, and also my promotions in Indonesia, Mahkota Promotion, Raja Sabta Oktohari, Mr. Sim, Eric, and also my beloved great trainer, Pino Bahari.
Daud, this is going to be a great fight between two guys who love to come forward and expecting a brilliant fight.
Pertarungan kali ini tentu menjadi sejarah buat saya sendiri secara pribadi, karena akan ditonton oleh 265 juta penduduk Indonesia, dan saya bertarung melawan mantan juara dunia yang sangat hebat, yaitu Anthony Crolla, dan saya sangat menghormati dia.
This will be a great fight for me because it will be broadcast and lively and watched by the almost 265 million population in Indonesia. Then there will be a very respectable and honor for me to fight Anthony Crolla, which is I very respect to him, but there will be a great war.
Thank you. Anthony, first thing from those quotes is you're going to be a huge star in Indonesia on Monday morning. But you and Ricky are like the Benjamin Buttons of boxing. Every time I see both of you, you look younger every day. And seen in the videos of you training and the pictures coming out from your S&C team and obviously Joe as well, in the shape of your career on Saturday night, I'm really, really excited for this fight.
Yeah, it's a fight I can't wait for, and it's a fight that puts the fear into me because I know what a good fighter that Dow Jordan is. It's gives you that extra bit of an edge to training, and you just mentioned it then with my team. And I think over the last year, I think people think that I'm on the slide. I think last time out in Cardiff, it wasn't exactly frills and spills, but I had a bad cut, got the win. But this, you just mentioned it earlier, this is the kind of opponent that I believe brings the best out in me. And my team, from the boxing side of things, most importantly, Joe, believes I'm boxing better than ever. My strength and conditioning, I'm getting stronger and faster. And I look at all these little things and I think, if everything's improving around me, then I'm improving as an athlete and improving as a boxer. And I genuinely believe the best is still to come. And I will need my best on Saturday night to defeat Dowd. I bumped into him yesterday outside the hotel, him and his team, gentlemen, and we'll shake hands and we go to war Saturday night. I think anyone who knows boxing knows that stylistically this can't help but be a great fight.
And finally, obviously, the winner gets Lomachenko, but also the division opening up right now looks like Commey against Chaniev for the WBC. Luke Campbell might get a shot at the WBC title as well. Although Lomachenko is for the winner, a really interesting time in the division, and Saturday is a very important part of that.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I had people mention about Lomachenko having the belt. I won't look past this guy over here, Dow Jordan. It'd be disrespectful, and it's a tough enough fight on Saturday. But obviously, that is a carrot that gets dangled. But we'll see what happens. You just mentioned other fights there as well. Some of the titles becoming free. But yeah, the winner on Saturday then becomes mandatory for the WBA world title. So the winner goes on to fight for a world title, or should go on to fight for a world title.
Thanks, Anthony. Crawler against Jordan is a wonderful fight. Chief support to the Usyk BELLEW card on Saturday night, and so many great fighters and great matchups going to be leading us up to that huge main event on Saturday night. We're going to have head-to-heads at the front of this stage now, and then we'll have a short break and we'll resume for the Usyk BELLEW press conference shortly. Thank you.
You good?
Steve, you know what I was talking about, so presumably not to do with it.
I just jump over, I jump down, and then I can go in the back. Yeah.
Or do you proper busy at the minute? Yeah, I'm just telling me I'll have to do it.
I've done it. I've done. We just let the boss know that there's some marks on the floor for the main event. Right under the you're right, Sam. Under the chairs in the middle. Just literally say. All good, bro. All good. Right, are they there? Yeah. One, just let him know. Just let him know.
Next one on 1 o'clock. You know.
They'll be fighting, won't they?
Can't go back to the hash cup on it, take time. It's all right. He's just gone. Tell Paul that I need that market on thing from the news. I was just like, well, he's not going to put it for the values. That's just like the whole point of it this morning. That's I think he can't go.
get exposure, you want to have a budget, right, to pay for ads. However, what if the money that you're paying into the ads to get exposure on those videos or whatever it is you want exposure was actually self-fulfilled, like you had a self-fulfilling offer where every pound you spent into that promo and that exposure, £2 came back. Because now it's paying for itself, number one. Number two, you can scale up, which means more exposure. And it's covered. And this is where I've been helping entrepreneurs for the last 2.5 years. All of us cats in the marketing industry that do stuff like, we're approaching brands. We use this stuff all day long. But I've realized in the music industry, those methods aren't being used. And this is where I see my space in the market. Does that make sense? How you doing? The fact that you and I are both here is a reason. I'm better than most. I said you better write them more than 2 years. About that. Workshop
My name's Cheeky Sport Dave, and today I'm here back with the one and only Mr. Gareth A. Davis, live. Where are we live at?
We're live on a bouncing platform actually at the moment. So if there is a bit of movement, it's only because there's a little bit of springboard here. We're in Manchester. The main event is OLEKSANDR USYK against Tony Bellew for all the world's cruiserweight belts and the Ring Magazine title. It's one of the biggest fights we've ever seen on British shores, and certainly the biggest 200-pound fight, that's cruiserweight limit, we've ever seen, Dave.
Absolutely. We've just had the undercard press conference, and the main card press conference is just imminently away. We've got right behind us the titles that are up for a contest on Saturday night.
As we say, the BA, the BF, the BO and the BC, all with the W's. That's all 4 belts and the Ring Magazine belt. OLEKSANDR USYK, the Ukrainian, undefeated in 15 fights, 6'3", southpaw, very skilled, fast work rate, Olympic heavyweight gold medalist, London 2012. Want more?
Hey, listen, roll it off,
He looked amazing in the final of the World Boxing Super Series in Moscow against Murat Gassiev. Absolutely schooled him in boxing terms. But he's up against a rocky story himself. The man from Liverpool, the fat kid, as he calls himself, from Liverpool, who has done the unexpected, fulfilled a life's dream, is having his swan song fight to try and win those 5 belts. Tony Bellew is an exceptional character. He's got real belief. And this could be the moment where, frankly, Dave, he saddles up, goes off into the sunset and doesn't get divorced, because that's the problem for him, walking away from the sport. If he beats OLEKSANDR USYK, and he is a big underdog, as we know, with the odds, the big problem for Tony Bellew is giving up this sport he loves.
Absolutely. Now, listen, this is going to be an absolutely incredible fight. But even more so, this press conference is definitely going to have some good twists and turns in it, isn't it? You know what Tony Bellew's like at press conferences. We've been to many a Tony Bellew press conferences before. He uses them to kind of get under the skin. Yeah, he does. He does. Very much so. There will be a stare down at the end of this press conference. And listen, I'm telling you, it's electric here, isn't it? It's a bit of a how would you put it? It's a bit of a mind versus a head versus heart. That's what I'd like to say. It's a bit of a head versus heart.
I'll tell you what it is.
Trying to decipher who's going to win this.
In all seriousness,
tell him. Tell him.
I will. I'll tell him. No, in all seriousness, Bellew has to believe that he can take his opportunities in this fight and potentially KO, stop or hurt. Because you do not see how he's going to outbox him. Usyk's skill set is so good, his work rate is so good.
But this is where Tony Bellew thrives, though. He thrives under the cosh with his back against the wall. He thrives when there's no belief. When people like him here is saying, listen, he ain't got it. He ain't got the skill. He ain't got the will. He hasn't got the capabilities of beating him. That's where Tony Bellew thrives. That's where the bomber, you know what I mean, starts dropping them bombs.
So you're picking Tony Bellew to win, aren't you?
Listen, I'm telling you without a shadow of a doubt, I'm picking Tony Bellew to win this. And when I say without a shadow of a doubt, obviously there is a bit of doubt there. So it's not really without a shadow. There is an inkling of a shadow. It's not noon.
An inkling of a shadow of a doubt.
It's not noon. You know, at noon there's no shadows. But it's maybe 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? You got a little bit of a shadow coming out there. Just a little inkling. No. Because listen. Like I said, for me, it's head versus heart. Your head says OLEKSANDR USYK is going to absolutely outbox him on the night. But listen, you can't. Listen. I stood here with you. Well, not here, but I stood here with you
when he fought David Haye.
David Haye the second
time.
And he did it. And listen, I remember you said David Haye was going to take it.
Listen, you did. Tell him.
He did.
He did. Bellew surprised us twice. Here's the thing. He was the underdog in those fights. He was the underdog against Olunga Makabu at Goodison Park, Everton, and his hardest night, because he thought he'd never be able to fight again or even go to Everton again. It's his hardest night. This will be his toughest fight ever, technically. But you know what? No one can doubt Tony Bellew.
Listen, I keep saying you can't second guess him. And guys, don't forget, listen, you won't find a better price on round by round betting than via William Hill.
He's wearing a mask.
He's a bit bellied up.
He's wearing a mask.
He's got a balaclava. He's
done a Chisora.
He's doing a Chisora.
He's wearing the mask.
He's bellied up.
Tony Bellew unmasked in Manchester in a few minutes.
He's got the gloves on quite like a Dylan White. He's got gloves on today.
He's got gloves on, he's unmasked, he's obviously come on a bicycle. It looks that way, and he's come through the mountains on his mountain bike. Listen,
No fluorescent jacket.
I hope there's some stunts here. I hope there's some stunts.
Listen, there definitely will be. Listen, guys, listen. We are
Egis
moments away.
Klimas, Usyk's manager, is here in the blue suit.
He is.
Eddie Hearn's having announced yesterday he's doing stuff in Italy, Monte Carlo, Kansas coming up. But you know what? Eddie's told us that this is the moment for him. It's one of the biggest fights he's ever promoted. Oleksandr Usyk, by the way,
He says it's the biggest. He said it's the biggest.
Overnight. In the hostel that I'm staying, yeah.
The hostel.
In the bunk bed above me in the hostel that I'm staying, one of the Ukrainian journalists from Inter TV I was chatting to, he was on the top bunk and I was on the lower bunk. Yeah, we're down with the people.
Listen.
He was telling me that 15 million people in Ukraine, 40% of the audience will watch this fight live.
Absolutely.
15 million people.
I do not doubt that in the slightest.
Amazing.
That's why Tony Bellew calls him a superstar, because he is.
He is a superstar.
It's starting to quiet down a little bit now.
It's starting to quieten down.
Obviously, you can see
the translators there. We're just waiting for Oleksandr to make his way onto the stage. Tony Bellew's there. He's unmasked now.
He's unmasked.
He's unmasked. Yeah.
Gloves are off as well.
Maybe it was just about not getting cold in these rainy, torrential streets, but the gloves are off. The gloves are off.
Absolutely, and you got Mr. Buffer there poised, ready to get this kicked off.
To get ready for ladies and gentlemen. I will sing for you now. Anyway, we had better let Mr. Buffer take over and be very quiet, because it's gone very quiet.
Yeah, it has. It really has.
I wonder if Oleksandr Usyk's going to walk in on his hands, because you know he can do that.
You think he's going to bring the hat out? The hat with the little tennis ball on the end?
Boom, 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 boom. Tell him, Dave.
Yeah, we're just waiting. We're just poised. Everybody, the world's media right now are poised, ready for Oleksandr Usyk.
I wonder if Alexander's lost in the Arndale Centre.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was with him at breakfast this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, were you?
I was with him downstairs.
He's staying in your hostel with you?
Yeah, he's staying in my hostel. Yeah, he's slumming it out with me in my hostel.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I knock my walls twice, you can hear me. Little Ukrainian code there.
I love that video that's playing above, actually. I don't know if you can see it up there as well. Here we go.
First, a very special presentation. As you all know, on the line Saturday night is the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship.
And a very important part of that undisputed factor is the prestigious Ring Magazine Championship belt. So here to present it to Usyk, Oleksandr Usyk, for the first time, please welcome Mr. Tom Gray from Ring Magazine to make the presentation.
On behalf of the Ring Magazine editorial board, we hope that Oleksandr is honoured to hold this belt as what we are to give it to him. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night here in Manchester, another great night of boxing at one of the great arenas here in the world for championship fighting. Now, what makes people want to pluck down their money for Sky Box Office and for the DAZN subscription? Compelling fights. Fights that are meaningful. Fights that really make a difference. Fights, and this fight in particular, the type of thing that comes from a Hollywood screenplay. You know, one of the most prestigious titles, as I recently said at a press conference, was the heavyweight championship. But in the world of boxing, to all fighters, the most prestigious thing you can have is all those alphabet belts, to be the undisputed champion. And that's what we have Saturday night. On the line, the undisputed Cruiserweight Championship of the world. An undefeated champion versus a fighter who has announced his retirement after this fight, a fighter that's come back time after time against all odds. What will happen Saturday night? It's right out of a compelling screenplay, and it's the type of thing that fans want to see. So here to tell us more about it, please welcome Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Boxing.
Thank you, Michael, and I couldn't agree more. This fight, the biggest fight, the best fight, I believe, Matchroom Boxing have ever promoted. The creme de la creme. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Everybody who loves sport, everybody who loves boxing, this is the pinnacle. The undisputed cruiserweight championship of the world. The opportunity to say, you are king. These two great fighters, we currently have the king of the division in OLEKSANDR USYK. After 15 fights, already the undisputed champion, owning these 4 belts, and of course, this fantastic Ring Magazine belt as well. And to our left, we have one of the greatest success stories of British boxing, a man that has refused to give up and has come back and has won British, Commonwealth, European, world title belts, and now sits on the cusp of, like Michael said, a true Rocky story to become the undisputed champion of the world on Saturday night. A genius here and an incredible fighter to my left who talks about the potential of this being the last one, of there being peace after Saturday night. But as we all know, before peace must come war. And on Saturday night, I promise you, one of the most gripping, compelling fights you have ever seen in this country. An historic moment, the first ever undisputed fight in British boxing history. And we are incredibly proud with K2 as well, our partners in this event, to bring you a very special moment for the sport of boxing. And now to ask the fighters a few words before we talk to Dave and Alex and Aegis as well, I'm going to pass over to one of our broadcasters this event, live on Sky Sports Box Office and streamed live on DAZN in America, our host broadcaster, the head of boxing for Sky Sports, Adam Smith.
Thanks, Eddie. I just want to send huge congratulations to OLEKSANDR USYK for picking up another belt. Have a look at that. The treasure there, 15-0 and 5 incredible belts in front of him. I wonder if Tony Bellew will be taking those 5 back on Saturday night. 1 for Rachel, 3 for the boys, maybe 1 for Dave as well. Let's ask him. Tony, firstly, training camp has been long, grueling, hard. First time in a couple of years you've got to make the weight. Are you feeling as strong as you ever have in your life and as confident ahead of this almighty challenge?
I'm always confident, Adam. It's been a long camp, yes. I've been very diligent in the way I prepare. Making weight is not an issue. Alexander faces the exact same problems as I do when it comes to making weight. Me and him are very similar in size. We are basically heavyweights who have to make weight. This is the modern day system, and by moving the weight category to 200 pounds when it used to be, I think it was 186, that's what that allowed. It allowed the smaller heavyweights to come down, so it's not an issue. I've shown what I can do at heavyweight, and believe you me, I will show even more what I can do at cruiserweight, because I am only faster, sharper, possibly even stronger at cruiserweight. But I go in here, and for the first time genuinely in my life, I feel like I meet a man who has exceptional skills, an exceptional amount of talent. He has everything I have besides that one thing, and that's the fact that I can switch someone's lights out within 1 second. And I don't care what he says, what his team says, what anybody says. I've had that ability since I was 12 years old. I learned it at school, and I'm still carrying it right now as a grown man. I can turn people's lights out with the blink of an eye. It's never happened to him before, but it could happen to him on Saturday night. Either way, I'm going to find a way.
Tony, people forget you had a terrific amateur career. You've shared the ring, both as a professional inside and under the lights, and in sparring with some great, great fighters over the years. Is OLEKSANDR USYK the best, in your opinion,
Yes.
that you will ever share a ring with?
Yes.
Why?
He is the ultimate test. There is nothing this man cannot do, Adam, in a boxing ring. He's the most complete fighter I've ever faced. Everything he does is class. Listen, before this fight was done, I've always been a fan of Alexander. I've had friends interview him. He's amazing at what he does. If I wasn't fighting him, I can promise you right now, I'd probably be sitting in this audience as a fan of his. So, like I say, not for many fighters are as honest as me, but it is what it is. I think he's a fantastic champion. I remember my time in Ukraine, and he hadn't yet captured the likes of the European gold medal, the world amateur gold medal, or the Olympic gold medal at this stage. But even then, everybody knew on that camp who he was. Everybody then knew he was an exceptional talent. Him alongside Vasyl Lomachenko. Glavatsky was there as well, the heavyweight who I was sparring. They're just the quality fighters. He's a brilliant, brilliant fighter. I have nothing bad. I have no disregard towards this man. I just have to beat him up on Saturday or find a way to do the impossible. I want to tell you how. I really do. And I want to just blurt my mouth out and say, but then for once a little man next to me could probably beat me up now at this stage. So I'm going to just keep my mouth shut and say the only chance I have is a puncher's chance. I cannot outbox this man. He is a formidable opponent. He has everything that any boxer could possibly want. And even worse than that, he's an audible southpaw. So he's great. I have no bad words at him. I know it's unusual for me to sit at a press conference and give someone so much credit, but there is nothing I could say or I'll be honest, I wish his English was a bit better. I know he's bullshitting me a little bit. He does speak better English than he's letting on, but he doesn't speak good enough English that I can have banter with him back and forth and I can get him going. So I would have if I could have, I'm not going to lie. I do like a little bit of back and forth, but ultimately I admire him. Fantastic champion. And I'm happy this fight's happening. This is the most significant fight in cruiserweight history. It's the richest fight the cruiserweight division's ever seen. And you know who brought that to the table? I did. He brings the hardware, I bring the money. Never ever forget that. I've generated something that no one could ever see for me before it. Nobody cared about me when I was sitting on the floor in Canada as a failed light heavyweight. And I told the world that the reasons why it happened the way it happened. No one cared about me after the crazy, cleverly rematch, and everyone said it was terrible. Tony Bellew's crap, he's this, he's that. No one listened, no one believed. You know, they believe a couple of people sitting here with me, the family at home, me team around me, my father, Gary Disley, my wife, my kids, they all believed. Every one of them believed, and look where I am now, and that's what belief can get you. I've failed many times. But right now I'm about to take the greatest step of possibly any British fighters ever took. And I'm going to do it on Saturday night.
Just finally for now, Tony, I know tactics are top secret. You've won your last 10 undefeated since that night in Canada. How worried are you that this last fight that you've gone on record and saying, you've told Rachel, you've told Dave, you've told Eddie, you've told all of us, it will be the last one on Saturday night. How worried are you about a final failure after so much recent success?
Do you know what, Adam? We all fail in life. Now, I have failed on a greater scale than anybody probably in this room has ever failed before. But you know what? I've also reached greater heights than most people in this room have ever reached before. And to reach the great goals, you have to take great risks. And sometimes they go wrong. Make no mistake, I can lose on Saturday night. If he's as good as everyone thinks he is, and as good as everyone says he is, then I could lose Saturday night, no problem. I've got no problem with that. But what would have haunted me much more was if I would have stayed retired. And then when he calls my name with all them belts around his waist, I just walk away. That would have haunted me. That would have haunted me. And it would have, I can't even think about doing it. So I made the phone calls. I made it happen. Yes, I can lose this fight. Not many people say, well, yes, I can. Of course I can. He's very good at what he does. Do I think I'm going to lose the fight? Absolutely fucking not, no. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to break his heart. And you look in my eyes when you say that, and I tell you now, mate, no, every single person will believe when I'm saying it. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get the monster. It's time to let a monster catch a monster. I'm telling you now, mate, I'm going to find a way. As good as he is, as great as he is, he's meeting someone with something inside him. I can't even put it into words what goes through my head. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I just know I'm going to punch him in the face really, really, really hard on Saturday night.
Alexander, welcome again to Britain. Fantastic to have you over here. How excited are you finally after your long training camp in the Ukraine? And thank you for letting us over to experience that. How excited are you for performing and defending all of those belts in Manchester here on Saturday?
Приветствую всех собравшихся,
Hello
команды.
everyone, teams.
Я очень вдохновлен, мне очень нравится атмосфера, которая происходит в Англии, в Манчестере.
I'm really inspired. I enjoy the atmosphere here in England and Manchester.
Я реально когда-то себе мог мечтать о таком, побывать в Англии, просто побывать, даже не том, чтобы боксировать. А в субботу я здесь буду боксировать.
Many years ago, I was dreaming about England, about visiting England. I couldn't even imagine that someday I will be fighting here in Manchester.
Я такой довольный, как маленький ребенок, который получил киндер-сюрприз.
I'm as glad as a small kid who received the Kinder Surprise.
Thank you.
Well, we're really pleased to have you here as well, Oleksandr. How dangerous is Tony Bellew as your big challenge?
Да, очень опасный парень, ростом как я, весом как я, злющий. Смотрите на глаза на его. Конечно, опасный.
He is really dangerous. Look at him. He's the same height as I, the same weight. And look at his eyes. They're just angry.
Tony says that you're by far the best fighter that he will have ever shared a ring with. Do you think Tony Bellew is the best you've shared a ring with?
Совершенно верно, на данный момент да.
Definitely yes. Tony is my best opponent ever.
So what do we see on Saturday? Tony's predicting a war. It's his last fight. I think everything will be put into it. What about from your side?
Что мы видим в субботу? Тони говорит, что будет война, потому что это его последний бой, и он положит все, оставит в ринге. Ты со своей стороны что будешь делать?
Я буду боксировать, я буду делать то, что я люблю, а люблю я боксировать.
From my side, I will be doing boxing, because I will be doing what I love, and I love boxing.
Самое главное, что и со стороны Тони, и со стороны моей будет желание проявить себя. Так что из этого получится очень великолепно красивый поединок.
The main thing from my side and from Tony's side will be to perform our best, and that's why I think this event will be a really spectacular one.
Thanks very much. We can't wait.
Thanks, Adam. And a quick word now from the two teams. Firstly, I'll start with you, Aegis, long-time manager of OLEKSANDR. You've made some big fights in your time, and we know you've witnessed also the great atmosphere that big British events bring. Excited ahead of Saturday night.
Hello, Manchester. Very, very proud to be here, and of course, more proud to represent one of the best fighters in the world today, OLEKSANDR USYK. As far as how big his fight is, we don't have to talk. We can see that here, right on the table. All these belts talks for themselves. So OLEKSANDR is going to be facing very tough opponent, Tony Bellew. I liked Tony Bellew as a fighter for a long time. I know I was watching him all the time. After his speech today, I like him more as a person. He speaks very highly and very professional. So I believe Saturday night we will see very, very good fight. It's the biggest fight I ever been involved, and I've been in a big fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Aegis. Alex, just a few words. I just want to thank you and K2 Promotions and Aegis as well. I can't believe that an undisputed fight has happened so easily, with no drama, with no tears, with no punches between the camps and the promoters, and it's been a joy to work with you and your team. Well, it is, yeah, we've got another 5 minutes. We all wanted this fight to happen. We all love this sport, and on Saturday we get a very special moment for our sport and also a great, great fight.
Thank you, Eddie. Definitely, it was really a pleasure to meet you first and then to make it happen. It took us just 10 minutes to agree on all the issues, and I'm happy we are now here again in Manchester, speaking to media. And recently I have learned something special about the British fans. Never ever in my life I met the audience that is so deeply involved in sports of boxing. And just a regular fan knows more about their idol than probably standard journalist in the world. And that's really amazing. The crowd here is really unbelievable, is something special. Once Usyk comes to the street, people meet him, people want to take a picture, want to take his autograph, whatever. So that makes it amazing. And Usyk had a wonderful camp. He's here, ready to go. I saw Tony last night at the open workout, and you see him now. He's probably he used to have a good camp as well. So that means that Saturday night, just in a couple of days, endless days, but just in a couple of days, we're going to see a tremendous fight, probably the fight that might become the fight of the decade. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Dave, a huge moment for you and Tony. Obviously, you know, we talked and we heard from Tony about the lows, and it's been an incredible run since then of 10 fights unbeaten and some great nights. Everton, of course, the two David Hay wins, and now on the cusp of doing something that very few do and making history, defining a legacy and becoming undisputed champion.
Yeah, I think you touched on it when you said about Tony Bellew. The story is a successful story already. You know, you look back all the way through his career, he was never supposed to be here. It was never supposed to be here, sat at this table with all these belts lined up, facing pound for pound one of the greatest fighters on this planet. He's made that happen, you know, through all the setbacks. Like he said, he believed, he put in the work, and I think he's a great advert to any kid that's out there that's starting out, that's actively pro now, had a few setbacks, that just because somebody else is in front of you and somebody else is more talented than you naturally, and maybe things are working smooth for them, and they're at the top there, you're grinding away, you're getting the setbacks. You keep working hard, you keep believing what you're doing, you can get there. He's at the top. This is literally the top table. You know, all these belts there, Saturday night, that's what he's going for. He doesn't have to. He could have walked away, like I said. He could have walked away. But then there are regrets. Saturday night, there'll be no regrets. He's done everything that he can possibly to get himself in the best shape. He's done the weight fantastically. You know, I spoke with you before, and that was my initial worry when this fight got made, and we said, you know, it was at cruiserweight. It wasn't going to be at heavyweight. It was at cruiserweight. My initial worry was, I don't know if he's going to make the weight easy. He's made it. I can't believe how he's been so professional. He's done everything right, and the weight is fantastic. The weight is not an issue. And on Saturday night, you're going to get the best version of Tony Bellew, and it's going to be the last version of Tony Bellew.
Obviously, there's been a huge amount of respect
saying that like we haven't said it before.
for Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, but he keeps bringing it up.
But make no doubts, the two of you and the team truly believe that victory will come Saturday night. You know how hard it is, but this isn't about a tribute act to Alexander Usyk.
No, listen, the one thing that works for me, it works for Tony, is that we understand what's in front of us. We always have done. Every fight, we understand the dangers of what's in front. You understand what that man in front of you can do. I think if you go into a fight like this, any fight, but if you go into fight, you know, the David Hay fights, Carbu's, him, with Usyk, if you go into those fights blind, thinking it's not as good as what they say, it's all hype, you're walking into a minefield and you're going to get the biggest shock of your life, because he is legit. You know, he's a great fighter. And when you understand what's in front of you, you can prepare for it. You can prepare, but we have to prepare for every eventuality. You have to prepare for losing rounds. You have to prepare for being outboxed at some stages. You have to prepare for every bit. You have to prepare for a dogfight. He's prepared for everything. Whatever's going to happen on Saturday night, he's prepared for. And this is why, when you look at extensively and you're studying fights, every trainer out there, they all know the same thing. They've all been in positions where their man's the underdog and their man's facing a much better fighter on paper than your man. No fighter's unbeatable. No fighter's unbeatable. There's fighters that are unbeaten. There's no fighter that's unbeatable. And if a man's lost rounds in his career, if a man's been hit in his career, he can be beat. And trust me, Bellew, it's hard enough to knock out anybody. It's hard enough to knock out anybody. His boxing brain's underrated. He can box with them, he can fight with them. But there's something inside him that you could never bet against him. And how many people have been out there and said that we've got no chance in this fight, but they're not going to bet against him because they've lost enough money in the past? You know, he's one of those guys that there's something inside him. That's why he's here today, and that's why he's got himself to where he is today. Regardless of what any coach has worked with him in the past, there's something inside of him that takes him to this level, and you can't train that. And that's what ultimately, that's what's going to make sure that on Saturday night, all these 5 belts are going to go back home.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Alex, Aegis, and Alexander. And finally, Tony, one last word. This fight for you, not really about money, not really about crowds, pay-per-view. This is about, I believe, testing yourself. What is it that made you accept this fight? What does this fight on Saturday night mean to you?
I told everyone, and I was pretty adamant, this isn't about money. If I wanted money, I could have created a bit of drama with someone like, let's just say, Dylan White, a heavyweight. I could have done a gloves are off, I'd have rolled around on the floor and done 1 million pay-per-view buys overnight. That's just the truth, and that's the fact of the kind of numbers I can generate. And I would have earned double the amount I'm going to earn on Saturday night. And I'm not trying to say, I'm not fighting for free, not by any way of the means, but if it was all about the money, I would fight a much lesser fighter than Alexander and earn much more money. So I can put that to bed straight away. The reason I took this fight, it's the biggest challenge in my life. I always knew I could become a world champion deep down. I knew with the right scenario, the right fight, the right location, I will lift the world title. I did think also when I left the cruiserweight division, I was the best cruiserweight in the world. When I knocked out Lunga Makabu at Goodison Park, he was the WBC #1 for over a year. No one wanted to face him. Gregory Jaws pulls out. I come in. Alexander was still fighting 8 and 10 round fights at this time. And I done the unimaginable, and I knocked out another monster against all the odds. So when this one presented itself, I didn't ever think this would be possible. I didn't think boxing politics would allow it. I looked at the last time that a boxing tournament had happened, and that was Andre Ward with Mikhail Kessler. I think it was the Super 8, something like that. And what happened in that tournament, politics played a huge role. Injuries played a huge role. And the belts become fragmented, you know, distributed in different ways, and there was never really one face, one name, one champion. And I thought similar would happen at the WBSS, but it didn't. It all went to plan. And the man here became that one name, that one face, that one champion that every division needs in boxing, in my opinion. And now it's all at stake. And when he had all them 4 belts around his waist, the first name out of his mouth was me, which I couldn't believe. I genuinely still am shocked. I knew he knew who I was, but I didn't think I would be the first name out of his mouth. So I was flattered, but at the same time, believe you me, mate, I'd have fought that night in the middle of that bar on my honeymoon if I could have. That's where I found out he called my name first. So I'm here now, and I'm competing in a fight that I never ever dreamed would ever be possible, and that's what's got me up for it. I'm literally living the dream. I'm here fighting for the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and this little bad boy as well. It's unbelievable. From where I've come from, this was just a dream, an impossible dream. Even I thought this was way beyond me. I never thought this would ever happen. It's happening now. Alexander brings the hardware, and I bring the paper. On Saturday night, we're going to do an exchange. I'm going to give him all the paper he wants, but I'm going to steal his hardware. I'm telling you now. I got labelled the bank robber last time. Don't call me the bank robber no more. Call me the belt robber, because that's all I'm robbing Saturday night. I'm robbing all 4 of them belts, and I'm taking them back to Liverpool. Something that we never as a city, as a country, have ever even seen or dreamed of. No fighter from this country is ever going to do what I'm going to do on Saturday night. I'm going to do it. Believe you me. And you know what? Just so they give a parting gift, even after this is over, this fighter, he's going to go on and win a version of the heavyweight title. Mark my words. He is that good. So I don't want to hear no shit after this fight of, oh, he wasn't that good after all. He is that good. He's exceptional. But it's just styles make fights, and I'm going to prove that on Saturday night. I wish you the very best. I hope you're in the best shape ever. because Saturday night we are going to go to war, believe you me. Blood, everything, I will give it all, but I only wish you good and success. You're an amazing fighter, an amazing champion, but Saturday night, my friend, you're going to learn how to lose.
Accepted.
Thank you. Again, an honour to be up here, an honour to be promoting this fight. We thank you for your support, not just today, but in recent times in British boxing that's enabled us to create fights like this, moments like this. This is what we live for. And Saturday night, we're going to have a great night. We wish both camps the best of luck. May the best man win, and the winner will be king of the division on Saturday night. We're going to have a head-to-head, and both guys and camps available for interviews. Thank you very much.